I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everybody. We have a quorum finally, so we can get started. I have nothing on the report of the chairman, so we'll move on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve, please? Thanks, Jerry. Do I have a second? Thanks, Jessica. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving the consent agenda? Thank you. Motion passes. We will move on to our reports of our committees and liaisons. Up first is our Massac Board representatives. Girls.
The student representatives sent Ms. Svensson, the new principal of Monroe Elementary, a warm welcome message on behalf of Massac High School. She responded with enthusiasm to be a part of the Monroe community. The Robotics Southern New England High School Championships will take place on March 1st to March 3rd in Massachusetts. The majority of teams have qualified, and they are currently working hard to improve and get the most out of their current robots.
Massac welcomed a new SRO officer. Her name is Brooke Larson, and we are very excited to welcome her to the Massac community. This Saturday, February 23rd at 5 p.m., the music department will be hosting the Music and Meatballs event. So they're going to be fundraising for their department. So band, orchestra, and chorus will all be performing. There will be raffle baskets, and they'll be serving pasta and meatballs all night.
With winter sports wrapping up, I have a full sports report for you. Our boys swim team has won 8 out of their last 10 meets. They are away competing at Canterbury School currently. Our boys basketball team has a record of 8-11, and they are looking to improve to 9-11 as they are facing Colby currently. Girls basketball finished their season with a record of 8-12. Track teams competed recently in SWC and CIAC championship meets. Senior boys Aiden McShane and Connor Mahoney went All-State, and then for the girls team, Grace Stevens went All-State. And our boys hockey team had a big win against a ranked Wilton team, winning 5-2 yesterday.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any other reports? All right. I won't even talk about finance because we'll get into that anyway later. All right. We will move on to our public participation if anybody would like to speak. All right. We move on to report of the superintendent.
Thank you very
Nobody
much.
ever speaks.
Wow. The audience is award recipients, so. So what I'd like to do at this point is ask Anita and Victoria if you can meet me right over here by your artwork. And then I'm going to put a couple things up on the slides here
sure.
too, if that's all right.
Yep.
Yeah, we thought it'd be great to recognize 2 of our outstanding fine arts students. And we have this, we have their work right behind me here, and we also have it up on the big screen so we can see it on this side of the room, and also it'll be on TV this way as well. Mr. Bachman is going to make sure that we get nice shots of the student work out there on YouTube and our cable access channel. And first we're going to recognize Anita. And Anita was the Gold Key Award winner for the Scholastic Art Awards. And the submissions for the Art Awards were juried by experts in the visual arts. The jury looks for works that best exemplify originality, technical skills, and the emergence of a personal voice or vision. The Gold Keys are considered the very best works and are automatically submitted to be considered at the national level. And on March 13th, Anita will find out if her work will be recognized at the national level, so we have that to look forward to. In addition, Anita is recognized as an Artist of Promise by the University of Hartford, and that recognition includes a $60,000 scholarship, so that's pretty amazing honor. Yeah. So congratulations, Anita.
Thank you.
And Anita. And I believe this is your grandmother. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
So this is her work right here. It's a beautiful piece. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah.
It's
My grandma, it
Yeah.
inspired me, and the title is Love Loving Too. It's in Finnish, and it means songbird.
Beautiful.
It's it.
Great job.
Ooh, like 20-ish, I would say.
It's a lot of time invested. Yeah, good for you. That's beautiful. We're very proud of you. And next we have Victoria Yannick. And of the numerous high school students that submitted for Connecticut's high school art exhibition called Teen Vision 2019, Victoria received first place. And that's also up on the big screen too. And it's called Blender. Am I right about that? And this is, am I right? Is this a still life?
It is.
Yeah, it's a still life. So this was a group put together to create, and you can see she's done some beautiful work here, especially dealing with the light. It's not an easy, not a hard thing to do. So good for you. And she, in addition to receiving first place, she was also awarded a $100 prize. And the exhibition and award presentation was at Sacred Heart University, the Art and Design Gallery on February 3rd. So congratulations, great honor. And you want to share just a little bit about this?
I was looking through Miss Gagnon's prop closet, and I found a blender. Thought it looked
Put it
really
out
cool,
there.
and
Yeah.
I drew it.
Nice. Good for you. Yeah, so congratulations, beautiful job. And thank you very much, Mrs. Gagnon, for all your help with this. Yeah. How about one last photo with the three of us?
Yeah, let me, want to scoot over just a little?
Sure.
I'll go on that side.
Okay, you got it.
Right here, and I'll get to
You got it. There we go. All right.
Boy, no, that's not good.
Wait, should we get out of the picture? Yeah.
Finish my- Oh, there it is. Great, thank you.
Great job, girls. Congratulations. Congratulations.
All right, well, this is the part I say, if you'd like to leave, you're more than welcome, but if you'd like to stay, we'd love to have the company. But nobody ever stays.
Have a great night.
All right, thank you, and congratulations again.
And so next we have a review of the fund activity statement. Gabby, do you want to walk us through that?
Sure. Sorry, I was proofing Joe's pictures.
He's the assistant superintendent slash photographer.
Yeah, there's one, Jack, not a good one.
No.
Not a good one,
Oh,
no.
boy.
I'm glad you're editing
Bad.
for
Got
me.
it? Well,
Yeah.
maybe he needs to take the photography class.
That's right.
That's a possibility.
Jake, can you get him signed up?
Came back, by the way.
Oh, thank you, thank you, we appreciate it. We have one in our audience.
Anyway, so really on the fund update, the big question is always about insurance. So claims are still trending somewhat high, 5.5 million through January as compared to about 4.5 last year. We have 41 medical claims and prescriptions over $25,000. If you recall, 4 or 5 years ago, we would be concerned if we had over 11 or 12 at that, and now we're at 41. So it's really not so much that we have a lot of sick people, it's just the cost of care has really, really gone through the roof astronomically, and that's not just for us, that's pretty much every place. We're still holding at 3 people over stop loss, so hopefully that'll stay kind of where we're at. And then we have 11 claims over $100,000 this year as compared to 8. So again, most of it has really got to do with the cost of care, not the severity. I mean, there are some people that are very sick, but it's really just the cost that is going up. And there's nothing we can do about that at this point. It's a negotiated rate between Cigna and the providers, whether it's the hospitals or the drug companies. Otherwise, one of the things we're talking about doing, and I don't know if you want to talk about this now, is we're actually talking about putting on a budget freeze through the rest of the year, just in order to make sure that we can get through the end of the fiscal year for both insurance purposes and just to keep a better eye on some of our special education costs, which are also increasing primarily due to a combination of student population and also rising costs for those providers. The good news is we haven't spent as much money as we've budgeted so far in snow removal, because it really hasn't snowed. It's been more icy, but I know, sorry, I just jinxed us. So that's the little bit of good news. So other than that, we're fiscally sound, but watchful and concerned and conservative.
We want to be safe and make sure we have a buffer there.
Correct.
Next, we have an update on the 2019-20 budget. Ken Kellogg presented the first selectman budget to town council Monday night, the 11th. Dave was there, and we had the administrative team there. I thought Ken did a great job. He's very clear, very concise. The total increase, the total budget increase for the town is 0.97% going into 1920. So the increase for the 1920 budget would be 0.97%. And as Gabby just said, and within the current budget, we want to freeze so that we can make sure that we have a good safety net there as we continue into the remainder of this school year. And a day on the Hill, just a reminder that that's on March 20th. If there is anybody at all interested or willing and able to attend?
Is anyone on the administrative team going?
Yes, this superintendent, I think, will go, especially if he has a partner from the Board of Ed, Mr. Stevens. What do you think?
When is that?
That's the 20th of March.
A Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
What time does it start?
It is, it's in the packet.
5 a.m.
5 a.m., yeah.
8:30.
Thank you.
March 20th?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're good?
I'm good.
Donna,
I'll let you know. I'll let
Okay.
you know.
All right.
Because that requires somebody to get a child on a bus.
All right. Excellent. So I'm going to put down Jerry and then Donna as a question mark?
Question mark. I'll
All
have to
right.
see if I can work that out.
All right, and I'll call both of you. We'll figure out a place to meet or figure out the logistics. Great, thank you. Okay, and then just the communication survey is there for any final feedback. We're hoping to get that out in the next couple of weeks, so if you could let me know this week if there's any changes, edits you'd like in there, and we'll incorporate those. But if we can get that out next week, I think that'd be good, so we can get that feedback back to us and be able to act on it during this school year. And then the next item is in this same vein, the BOE self-evaluation survey. That too is in your links there. And that one, as we discussed at the last board meeting, we're going to get out March 1st. So
Yep.
if there's any feedback on that,
Right, let's look at the questions, everybody, because of all right, because if we need to make some tweaks, let's do it before March 1st when we send it out, before we're evaluating, going, oh, we should have made that change.
Right. Yeah, March 1st is Friday, just so we're aware too.
Not this Friday, the following Friday.
Next, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
a week from this Friday.
All right, so if there's feedback on that, could we look to do it this week?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Jockey Hollow Campus Study Committee, Jessica was there and Christine was there, and let's see, and we had central office was there, Gabby and Joe and myself. We had a very good turnout, and it's a large committee. We probably had about 20 people there, give or take. And that first meeting was on February 6th, and the way we started out was listing the unique strengths of each campus, and we listed those out. We looked at what was in common, what was truly unique to each place. And we have our next meeting scheduled on March the 6th. For that meeting, we're going to look at draft goals for the committee, and then we're also going to discuss within those unique qualities, can they be emulated at the other campus? If it's something that's really good for students, why not make it available to all students? So we're going to look at those in detail and explore how we can implement them for all students. And the progress there is very good. Good spirit, good cooperation, and I anticipate a lot of good information will come from that committee. Next, we have a health insurance update. Gabby has shared some of this already. Just so you're aware, we met with the UpCU groups, which include the secretaries, custodians, nurses, and secretaries. And we have handshake agreements with those groups. We have MOUs, memoranda of understanding out to those groups. And we're just waiting on signatures, but I anticipate in the next 2-3 weeks, we should have everything finished with those 4 and final groups as we transition to the state partnership plan. So that's moving along well. And lastly, regional efficiency collaboration. On Thursday last week, I met with the superintendent from Eastern Reading Region 9, from the superintendent from Newtown and the superintendent from Bethel. We met in Newtown to talk about regional special education programming. And this is related to what Gabby was talking about before. The special education costs continue to go up for a reason. We don't have a lot of control over the costs. And what this group of superintendents is trying to do is get programming localized to us. Larger districts can host their own programming because they have pools of students that warrant being able to create a program just in their district. We're a smaller district, we can't do that. So if we partner with other districts of the same size, we get to a critical mass where we can get a teacher dedicated to a specific population and be able to run a program. And then more importantly, we're in the driver's seat in controlling the programming and controlling the costs. So it really is a sweet spot for us. It's going to take time to do it, but if we don't try, we're not going to be able to change the way that things work, and that's the important thing. So we're staying the course. We have a meeting that's going to come about in the next 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks. I spoke with the leader of Ed Advance, which is the RESC for Northwestern Connecticut. He's a former special education director and a former superintendent. And he's reaching out to the RESC chair from Trumbull, Chip Dumais, who was the principal at Newtown High School and who was Joe's mentor as he did his 093 degree. And he's a very good guy. Donna and I have met with him. And the next meeting will include Chip, Jeff Kitching, who's the head of Ed Advance, and the same 4 superintendents, and that meeting will be held here in Monroe. So we have some synergy. These large entities, the RESCs, have resources that we don't. They have other funding available, and they've created these programs before, so they can bring some things to the table that we wouldn't have just as individual districts. The other thing that has entered into it is Fran Rabinowitz was supposed to meet with this same group tomorrow, but it had to be rescheduled. Fran is the former deputy commissioner of the State Department of Ed, and she's now the head of the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents. And what Fran is exploring is working with legislators to basically use the current dialogue about regionalization, but in a more practical way. And what I mean by that is to look at regionalizing for things like special ed programming, rather than the Representative Looney proposal of regional. Right, okay, let's combine Easton, Reading 9, and Monroe, which the reality of that one is Easton and Reading haven't ever agreed to regionalizing, so trying to add another town to that is really highly impractical. But a more practical and more pragmatic way to go would be assist the superintendents in regionalizing with special education. So again, there's some key players coming into the mix here, and they're not just paying lip service to it. I think we're getting some traction on this. So this could take quite a while to pull it together, but we're going to stay the course and push hard to get something to come together. All right? So that's what we have in the superintendent's report.
Great. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? I forgot Shannon is not here tonight. Alan, could you act as secretary?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody? All right, we will move on to old business, which there is none, so we will move on to new business. And we have the first review of 3 policies. The first one is 5145.124 breathalyzers, 5141.5 suicide prevention, and 6142.101 student wellness policy. Anybody want to talk? George isn't here. Want to talk about what the updates are on these?
I'm going to pass it to Joe because I'm blocked from opening the attachments. I can't open the links.
Same with me.
So Joe, you're going to have to do these because
It said access denied.
no, I can't open them.
So
Sorry.
when Lauren does those, she's got to just make sure it's shared out.
Yeah, she had it last time too.
So Joe, I'm going to have to make
no
sorry
problem.
about that. I
No
can't open them to remember them. I mean,
Yeah, I have the same thing.
Sorry about that.
the breathalyzers where we were going with the new recommendation from Jake. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I mean, so we had brought a breathalyzer policy forward, I think 2 meetings ago. But that particular policy spoke specifically about passive breathalyzers. The breathalyzers that Jake got through, or Massick got through, the PTC mini grants and the ADAM mini grants were active breathalyzers. Okay. So we had to take out that specific language about them being passive breathalyzers to just being breathalyzers. And the difference, just so people know, the passive ones, or the ones that we used to have, are basically you just kind of hold up the mechanism and you have the person say their name, date of birth, whatever, and it picks up residual mouth alcohol kind of in the air. Whereas these ones are kind of like your traditional, you put a little straw in it and you blow into it. These ones that they investigated were much more efficient. The passive ones that we have take about 45 seconds to a minute to recalibrate. So if you really want to try to, breathalyze kids coming into an event like the, ring dance coming up or whatnot, it makes it almost impractical because 2 machines a minute to recalibrate every time with, 300 or 400 kids, you're going to be there forever. So these ones are, I forget what it was, but it was just a few seconds between tests.
All right. Suicide prevention.
So the suicide prevention policy, the policy pretty much remained the same. I think there was just a little bit of cleanup in language. The big change in there was in the regulations. The regulations were, the regulations that we had in there really did not reflect what we do. They gave a whole bunch of really specific scenarios they were too canned, and you're never going to have a scenario that fits any, whenever we've dealt with any of these situations, you don't have a scenario that fits exactly with what goes on. So what we had Kay Moser and Ann O'Doy do is get together with myself and some other guidance staff and school psychologists, and we wrote down what do we do, the former policy talked about a low lethality situation. We don't take any situation as low lethality. Whether, we're not going to be the ones to judge whether or not a kid, really means it or really has access to it. We're going to take all issues seriously. So it's a much more, much less prescriptive in terms of, if this, then this. And it really kind of, the regulation details more of what happens when if a student, makes a claim or we have any kind of reason to believe that a kid is in risk of self-harm or suicide.
And then the student wellness policy.
And the student wellness policy, that came from a recommendation from the State Department of Education Bureau of Nutrition. We had some help from our Sodexo nutritionist, just updating us on that.
Policy.
The current policy. No additions in it that really affect what we're already doing. I think it more reflects what we've been doing in terms of nutrition education, menu promotions, future chef programs, and things like that. There were some things in there that they recommended that we didn't do. One of the things that they wanted was this idea of active transport. Just certain things don't fit your district. Active transport means encouraging kids to walk to school. We're not going to encourage kids to walk to school in Monroe. We don't have sidewalks. We don't have lights. But most of the other recommendations were very practical and things that we were already doing.
All right, if we can get these out to all the board members since nobody can access this, so that they can review this before our next meeting.
Yep. Do that tomorrow.
All right, we will move on to item B. So look for that maybe just put it in the
Sure, we
week
can
in
send it.
review.
Sure.
Or something, so that everybody can view these. We will move on to item B, which is the meeting dates for July 19th through June 2020. What?
June 1st.
June 30th, because we only have usually one meeting in June, so this will take us through the whole month of June and stuff.
Could be, because Myra had it last.
So these are the meeting dates with the finance committee meetings and also the policy meetings from July 1 pretty much. And again, we only have one meeting in July, one meeting in August, one meeting in June. Because of other events that go on and also vacations during the summer. So this is our I take it Tuesday the 17th is because Monday the 16th is an off day?
Yeah, it was modeled after this year, so similar when we have, like tonight's meeting, when there's a day off on a Monday.
Right, but usually March we don't have off.
It's a PD day, I believe.
Is it a PE day?
Oh,
Okay.
The March
Right.
day off.
Yeah, because
I
usually
believe,
March there is no
Right.
days off.
Right, we moved to PD day. I think Gabby's right. I can
Yeah,
double
because
check
we
that
only
right now.
have 2 at the beginning of this year, I believe, or,
Right, we
this
moved
coming
one off
school
into
year.
March.
yeah, I
Okay.
believe that's
I
what
think
it
you're
Yeah,
is.
because usually that's our month that we don't even have a day off. It
Mhm.
becomes like winter break and then a very long time to get to spring break because there's no days off in March. So Just make sure on that one. I mean, February 18th, yes, that's correct. The day before is President's Day, and that'll be our President's Day weekend. I'm just questioning the March 17th one. Let's just make sure that that is, the 10th is a day, I mean, the 16th is a day off. And everything else looks fine, because we have all our other ones. All the other Tuesdays are because of Monday holidays.
Here we go.
You pull up next year's calendar. I'm almost positive that's it.
Oh, yeah, so March
Yeah,
16th
so that
is a
is-
teacher day, no
Right.
students. Okay. All right, so perfect. All right, do I have a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting dates for July 2019 through June 2020? Thanks, David. Do I have a second? Thanks, Christine. Any discussion on those? All right, all in favor? Great, thank you. Motion passes. Well, I think we also forgot to mention that our new principal started today, right?
She did start today, yeah. Joe and I started the day by bringing some flowers to both Kelly and Deb Cavacci. And on Friday, they had a great celebration for Deb Cavacci. The students did an amazing program. Allison O'Grady, the music teacher there, coordinated everything. It was just incredible. So it was a nice tribute to Deb. And then today, Kelly started the day, and Joe and I started the day with both of them and ended the day with both of them. And it was a lot of good learning. You know, you come into a new job, and there's a lot to absorb, but a lot of good conversation, and we're off to a great start.
Great. And Deb's last day is the 28th, correct?
It's 2 weeks,
28th,
right?
28th, so
28th.
it's the 20th. Okay, perfect. Anybody have anything else before we go to adjournment? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Thanks, David. Thanks, Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Motion passes.